that, I mean, it's the ones that I could speak to very off the top of the, it's like respecting somebody else's work, right? Like if somebody, and it applies in graffiti, if somebody does a work of art, you know, it's like you have to talk to them to either add on to that piece of art or to kind of like completely cover it. You have to give them a chance, almost like, I know this was your work and they want me to redo it, so it's, you want to either collaborate on it, or are you okay with me covering up your whole piece, you know?
So what did you do in this case?
I covered the whole piece in the sense of like, not make it look like I was disrespecting them by leaving some part of their mural still showing and leaving it kind of like, that's where it's disrespectful, where you still kind of leave a little bit of the mural showing, but, and then you have yours on top and it's finished. That's where some of those, you could start stepping on people's shoes. So that's one. And it goes the same thing with like graffiti. Like if you do your name, your signature, and somebody does their signature over you, it's almost like asking for a challenge, you know?
I wanted to ask you about that. You talked about your own history with graffiti and tagging and stuff. As a muralist, like what would it mean to you if your own work got tagged or covered in graffiti?
It depends what it is. If it's a signature or a mural like this.
What about your muralism?
Okay.
A lot of murals in the neighborhood, not this one, I think very interestingly, but a lot of murals in the neighborhood do get tagged. Like, if this got tagged, what would go through your head?
That's a kind of complicated question. I mean, I could look at it in terms of like who it is that they leave a name. You know, like if it was just somebody, like a mom writing their, you know, like, or a boyfriend couple writing like somebody loves somebody, I don't really take it as disrespectful as like somebody that wanted to be a part of it as well. But I'll just come and erase it. I'll just buff it without looking for conflict or without thinking that there's conflict. But if somebody comes and does their name on it, like they'll go over the flower and put their name on it, then I have to go in my head and think like, well, are they a graffiti writer? Or are they just a random person? Are they a gangbanger? Are they just another artist that doesn't like me at the moment or something like that, you know? So it's, yeah, but I mean, if it's people in the community, mostly it's either, if this mural was to get tagged on, if it happens to get to it, it'll probably be like somebody writing their name within a little piece in there, or maybe a gang taking a component, but I doubt it. I mean, they're pretty respectful. Chicago is pretty respectful in terms of like murals and that are connected with the community. You know, more propaganda stuff, you know, like commercial stuff, that's where the doors open.
It's perfect. Thanks so much. So you have the commission from this family to cover an existing mural, and is it part of their request that you continue the same theme of the Virgin of Guadalupe?
Yeah, so we did talk it over. They still wanted the lady's very devout of Juan Diego, so she really wanted me to capture Juan Diego, like, and then but within my own views and stuff like that, I wanted to like, well, like man versus gods, you know, like I wouldn't want to put man over God, so I wanted to bring the scale of the Virgin even greater than man per se. So I mean, so yeah, I mean, like the piece was again to represent the whole apparition scene of the Virgin Mary.
That was so fascinating. You're talking about like the scale of the Virgin here as one of the ways that you're kind of revising the story a little bit, or the way that the story is represented. Can I get you sort of talking about how you chose to scale the Virgin of Guadalupe?
So one of the first things is like that I was thinking about is like to cover the work that was there, and the work that was there was only up to the doorway. After talking with the owners, they did want to change it or kind of like give it new life, so they wanted to keep the for them it was Juan Diego, you know, Juan Diego was, which is still being developed at the moment, but for Juan Diego was like the main thing that she wanted, but bigger. And for my own, like what I was saying right now, it's like I did want to, with my own views, I was like, well, if you want him bigger, then I would need to paint the Virgin bigger, you know? So, because again, he's looking at the story, you know, he's serving, you know, he's looking to serve her, you know, so I just wanted it to, and again, you know, the experience of it is like it's almost like when you go into the Grand Canyon, to feel little, you know, it's like to feel humble, you know, and so it's kind of like what made me do it this scale.
I know this is going to make you repeat yourself a little bit, but it's so interesting. I think it'll be very valuable to people who are looking at it in real time. I'm just going to rephrase the question really quick. Why is the Virgin of Guadalupe so big in this depiction?
Well, it goes back to the story, right, of like what we've been taught. It's whether you're a person of science or faith, right, it's still something that hasn't been decided yet, so it leaves it open. So I mean, with that, it kind of gave me that realm to play and envision, like, well, if she did appear, you know, like and it's not something out of this earth, it could, you know, manipulate anything and everything in this reality. So I mean, why would it be the size of a human? So, and again, what she represents, I wanted to really her to capture like this presence of something greater than we are, just so that when we are in her presence or in their presence, we feel humble, that, you know, just again to bring us back to those teachings that, you know, that are so deeply grounded in her life for what the work that she did.
So good. Thank you so much. Can you tell us more about the composition of the piece, some of the choices you made, and maybe the techniques that you employed to create it? Sorry, I'll break that down into smaller pieces. Let's start with techniques. Like, how did you paint this?
This was created mostly, I would say, majority all spray paint. There was some roller paint here and there, but it's all been spray paint. Only the face of Juan Diego, that's the only thing that's in brushwork because of how small it was to get in with the cans. Well, at least I know personally I couldn't get those details, so I needed to use a brush just for his face. But everything else is spray paint, so I mean, techniques, I wanted to use like a combination of like bold, kind of like graphic, more like what you see in her robe, and a little bit of like the landscape a little bit, contrasted with some subtle realism, but not photorealism, but like some subtle realism with what you see like on her face and Juan Diego's portrait face as well. So
can we talk a little bit more about spray paint as technique? I mean, that like astonishes me because it looks so detailed and it looks like brushwork. How do you get this level of detail out of a spray bottle?
Well, I mean, well, the more it's, you know, like projects like these are, you know, are being accepted, it's opening those doors for tools to be created. You know, they have like now caps which could spray a thin lines this small, or even like caps that could spray like a big, say, you know, like a big size this big. So I mean, it's the tools that are being created now for artists, and with aerosol, they're really pushing the medium to other possibilities of what you can take it to. So I mean, that, and also what I was explaining about can control, learning like through just doing graffiti, or just, you know, growing up and just expressing yourself.
That truck pass. Want a drink of water or something?
No, I mean